Who wants to talk about shame? No, I'm just kidding. Marina here. I've been doing a few videos in the last few days, but yesterday I did not do one. I had an anger hangover after one of my anger videos, and then this kind of shame attack in the last few days. Lots of being with the energy and the thoughts around, should I be doing this? Who cares? Being judged by others, being judged by myself. I'm looking for work, so if someone finds this, they're not going to hire me. It's very self-indulgent, that there's something wrong about what I'm doing. All this stuff is coming up. And shame, what is shame really, other than this sense of I am wrong? Not that I did something wrong, but that I am wrong. That's what it is. Doing these videos makes me bad, makes me wrong. And it's very strong. So even as I'm doing this one now, it's here. It's very, very strong. I was even looking at the wrong camera. I'm wrong. So that's been really here in this perpetual, I'm really aware of also people around me who shame themselves in this most subtlest ways. This lovely young woman who sees an amazing movie that gets her in touch with her authentic, wanting to express herself in an authentic way, shames herself for the way she's dressing that particular day. Like really subtle, but very strong feelings of this, am I okay as I am? Is what I'm doing, who I'm being, how I'm expressing myself, does that make me wrong or bad, unwelcome, unwanted? That I have to do things a certain way in order to be loved and appreciated. Otherwise, I'm shunned out and I'm shamed. I don't know about you, but in my family, shame was the religion. We had no real religion in the family. There's a lot about shaming and blaming, so guilting as well. But the shame goes deeper because guilt is, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't do that. It's very much around your actions and shoulds and shouldn'ts that way. Well, a shame is very much about who you are. It's much more core identity of, because you did that and because you're moving to do this or say this, you are bad and you are wrong. So there's this key difference, but they're very close together, especially used very well in certain upbringing or even organizations. It's a great way to try to control people, but it's incredibly painful. And if you're indoctrinated all the time and living with that, and then when you're out of your family system and then you're home, on your own, you're living your life on your own, that those voices still continue. It's like you're your own parenting voice internally. And until you start really listening to it and notice what's really going on and not really believe it anymore, which is hard because it's very real feeling when the shame is around saying, boy, you really shouldn't be that way. You really shouldn't express yourself in this way. It's very, the words self-indulgent, selfish, self-centered. Makes you a very selfish person. Are you sure that's how you want to be portrayed? And who's going to take you seriously? It's strong. And I wonder how much we live with it. I mean, as a society, I see it everywhere, all the time, on various levels. And how drawn we are to people who naturally exude this unapologetic being of themselves. Yesterday, a friend of mine and I were talking about Dolly Parton. You know, she's not a woman that I would relate to in terms of her style, and I mean, everything about her in terms of her expression is not who I am. You know, she's very much herself and unapologetically herself in every way, at least the way, I mean, just the way she's presented. everything from her style to the way she speaks, it's mesmerizing. It's amazing. And it's very strong and empowered, even though she's uber feminine, like way more over feminine than I like to express myself to be, in terms of the kind of dress and stuff. But how she comes to mind with that, I don't see the words Dolly Parton and shame in the same sentence, because there's just none of that. She doesn't exude any of that. And I admire that so much. And this awareness just feels really important, because, in order to change anything, you have to be aware first. And how do you change the shame dynamic? It's absolutely through unconditional love and compassion, recognizing it in others and helping them see it also helps me. So when I do notice someone shaming themselves, and I immediately catch them and say, hey, wait a minute, you have every right to express yourself that way. Your anger is here right now to be expressed. That's the right emotion. It's the right behavior for you right now. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not wrong for behaving that way. You're not wrong for saying the things you just said. Yes, we can say hurtful things. And that's time for reflection so that we don't do it again. But it's not about controlling you so you don't do it again. It's about, like, let's stop for a second. Why would you say or do something like that? And it's usually through misunderstanding, or usually through pain, why people behave the way they do that isn't welcome. But catching that shame pattern in others helps me too. And that's the first step. And then the second is, like, right now, that I'm so aware of the feeling of it, exactly what it feels like how it overtakes me and feeling. There's a collapse element of just, what's the point? The depression is linked to that as well. I made a depression video too. And how permeated, shame is all of that. That somehow expressing a certain way makes me wrong and judged and not okay. And the funny thing is, I've had so many wonderful responses on YouTube and Facebook and Messenger, and people really sharing and appreciating that I'm sharing in this way. And yet the shame is still there. It's like none of that validation from the outside is really helping. It helps for a moment, and then it's like the mind hooks into yet another reason why I shouldn't be doing it. So yeah, this is my shame fest. I'm bringing awareness to it because I'm very curious, how are you aware of it? Are you aware of it in yourself? Do you feel shame? Or is that not something that you're with often, or even aware of very much in your life? Can you see when other people are feeling shame? Are you aware of it there in our society, how it permeates? Shaming culture in workplaces, watching each other and catching each other and gossiping and things like that. That's all shame. There's more, but shame is there. How else is shame prevalent? Have you been guilty of shaming others? I'm sure we all have. I know I have been. So what does that look like? And what does that feel like to you when you're shaming others? Shooting on them, shaming them, telling them they're not okay as they are. They should fix this or that about themselves. Trying to control their behavior so you don't have to feel something. Maybe your own shame. So that's what I want to share today. It's a shame party. Sounds fun. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. Bye.